Hey guys, and welcome back to another recent viewing video. And last night, I finally took my first steps in a long time towards completely watching all of the Marvel Avengers, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. I guess is what I'm trying to come up with. What I consider to call, or what I call the Avengers movies. I watched Iron Man 3, and I'll explain really quick why I watched this and why I'm talking about what I'm talking about. I decided that I want to go see Civil War in theaters. It's going to be my first movie this year to watch at the movie theater. My first movie since Star Wars The Force Awakens that I will have seen at the movie theater. It just looks really, really awesome, and I've been a big fan of all the Avenger movies and all these Marvel Cinematic Universe movies pretty much since the first Iron Man. But I'm very anal about watching all the movies in order, roughly in order, before I see them. So like I wasn't going to watch Avengers Age of Ultron until I'd watched Iron Man 3 and Thor Dark World. Then I could watch Marvel, I keep saying that, then I could watch Avengers Age of Ultron, and then the next movie that's out. I saw Ant-Man already. I guess maybe in a way that kind of means I broke it a little bit. But Ant-Man had very little to do with the overall product. But now Ant-Man moves into starting with Captain America Civil War and then beyond. But this is going to allow me to get back on track. The movies I needed to watch were Iron Man 3, Thor Dark World, and then Avengers Age of Ultron. So last night I watched Iron Man 3, and I wanted to get my thoughts on it, especially because now that movie came out 3 years ago, but I seem to remember a lot of people not being, I guess, too enthused with it. But my opinion was it was pretty damn good. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed Iron Man 2, and of course the first one was great. I don't think I'm saying anything that other people haven't already thought, though, when I say this, but Robert Downey Jr. kind of makes that role. And every Iron Man movie to an extension, any Avengers movie is just elevated because he's so fucking good at being Iron Man and Tony Stark. It was really, really good. Now, one thing I guess that I would find that was a complaint for me was the way that he sort of depicted Tony Stark in this movie as being filled with anxiety and having panic attacks. That kind of came out of nowhere. But I do believe that later on in the movie, when they kind of explain how much of an effect the attack in New York from the original Avengers movie, how much of an impact that had on him, I could see it a little bit, but there were a few times in the movie where he had these anxiety attacks that seemed way out of place and didn't, in my opinion, they just didn't really work. But otherwise, everything about the movie was great. Now, I've said a million times before, and I'll probably have to say it a million times afterwards, no, I'm not a Marvel guru. I don't know everything that there is to know about all of these characters and the comic books and their storylines. So I don't know a whole lot about the Mandarin character itself. I know that the Mandarin character in the comic book was pretty important over the many years of the Iron Man comics. But I also read that the director and writers and stuff chose to not make the Mandarin character in this movie the same as the character from the comic book because times had changed and it would come off as very stereotypical and even racist if he was. It would play into what I read. They said the Fu Manchu stereotype. So instead, in this movie, the Mandarin is actually an actor, and he's not even an actual bad guy. The actual bad guy of the movie is a completely different guy who's using the Mandarin character or whatever to sort of, I guess, like throw people off the scent of who he really is. And this other character, the Killian something or other, played by Guy Pearce. I had a complaint about him in the beginning of the movie when they were showing a flashback to 1999. He had this horrible wig, and they just... It was a really nerdy and kind of stereotypical depiction of that guy as like a geeky scientist dude who gets ditched by Tony Stark and presses on with his research and what he's doing on his own without the outside help of Stark Industries, or Stark Enterprise, whatever it is. But beyond that, the rest of the movie was really, really good. The thing that particular character that Guy Pearce was playing, the thing that he was working on, the ability to sort of like give people back their limbs, like if they've lost a limb or something, they do this thing and they grow them back. But it was weird how it turned them into like these weird fire or lava monster kind of characters. They were so hot, like they could just touch stuff and burn through it. And unfortunately, they could grow so hot that they could explode and die and kill people around them. But that was how they played it into these weird terrorist attacks that were orchestrated by the Mandarin to keep everybody off the scent of what was really going on. But Robert Downey Jr. did really, really well. The suits that they did, like the suits themselves, could operate without Tony Stark being inside of them. AI controlled suits and whatnot was interesting, although I don't really like you can't take Tony Stark out of the suit. It's not Iron Man anymore if he isn't inside of it, piloting it and controlling it. But it was an interesting thing. Of course, it enabled this whole army of Iron Man suits to come and help out in the big battle near the end of the movie. Pepper Potts, played by Gwyneth Paltrow, actually got to be pretty badass, almost like a superhero herself, because she was affected by this fire thing. And it seemed like at the end of the movie, it wasn't even clear as to whether or not she was saved from that or if it was still a part of her. I do believe that at the time Iron Man 3 came out, Robert Downey Jr. wasn't necessarily wanting to do any more movies of Iron Man standalones, but now it's been talked about he'd be interested in doing a fourth. Obviously, they can't do an Iron Man movie if it's not him. But I would have no problem with him being like, okay, I'm done at this point. It wouldn't be a big deal in my opinion at all. I wish my computer would stop kicking its fan on. So anyway, I would like to see more Iron Man movies if he decides to do it, but if not, whatever. I'm looking forward to seeing Thor: Dark World and the next Avengers movie, and then in the next week or two being able to go see Civil War in theaters, because it's getting really good reviews so far, and it's got so many characters in it, including new characters that haven't been in these movies before, so I'm really kind of pumped for it. So Iron Man 3 was really, really good. I'm enjoying the entire Iron Man trilogy so far and all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. I feel like they teeter on the border of overdone, like too many of these movies, but every time they come out and I watch one, I like it. So how can you complain if the movies are good? Alright, so that's my thoughts on Iron Man 3. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.